This is a free call from an incarcerated individual at New York City Department of Correction.
It's not safe at all. It was never safe. I mean, if you ask me, but you got officers that's paid to de-escalate problems, and there's no such thing as de-escalated no more. This is full throttle.
Francisco Jimenez has been on Rikers Island for over 3 years. He still hasn't been tried for a crime he says he didn't do. How have the conditions changed since the pandemic started, or how have they gotten worse?
The violence, I guess the short staff has led to like chaos. Like for instance, we don't get no programs, things that used to happen. The order is gone. You got one officer doing like 5 different things. The medical assistants, like right now, I just told you they burning mattresses next door. Somebody just got cut. He's been holding his face for like the last 2.5 hours. They're not responding to things as fast. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's just chaos all over, everywhere.
Rikers is New York City's main detention center, where people are sent before trial. If they can't make bail, they're stuck. It's never had a good reputation, but in 2021, the bad got worse.
The conditions at Rikers Island are now being described as a humanitarian crisis.
They say it's not safe for corrections officers or inmates.
It wasn't access to showers. They were not wearing clean clothes.
Another inmate death on Rikers Island.
There were 16 deaths in the city's Department of Corrections custody last year, the highest number in 8 years. 15 of those were at Rikers. Families of the incarcerated and criminal justice advocates come together in front of City Hall nearly every month, demanding that the mayor either close the jail or improve the conditions inside.
My son did not go in there to die. They basically killed my child. If they don't have the human rights or the needs to take care of those men in there, just let them go before they gotta come home. Dad, it's not right. It's not right. It's not right.
A court-appointed federal monitor has been investigating Riker since 2015. Its latest report calls 2021 the most dangerous year on record. Since 2016, rates of use of force by correctional officers have tripled, while the rate of fighting has doubled. And in the last year alone, the rates of stabbings and slashings more than doubled. What were the conditions like? How would you describe your time at Rikers?
It was hell. I hope I don't have to experience nothing like that again.
Christopher Clark spent a year at Rikers and was released in September. He's preparing to sue the city, alleging he was a victim of CO misconduct. So tell me about the case and what happened on that day.
The lawsuit is me being attacked by inmates in jail while I was incarcerated.
And you believe that the correctional officers had something to do with that?
Of course. It happened blatantly in front of my face. They popped the gate for the inmates to jump in. The COs control the jail. Ain't nothing happening unless they call the shots.
How legally are these correctional officers responsible for the violence that happens between inmates?
Well, they're responsible if they know the violence is taking place, if they actively participate in it, or they turn a blind eye to what's going on.
These aren't like news stories that we're hearing about Rikers, right? This kind of system has been going on for decades. Oh. Can you talk about how it has gotten worse since the pandemic started?
Yeah, what you're seeing is you're seeing extensive staffing shortages. You're seeing correctional officers calling out of work on a basis that's unprecedented, and you're seeing that the situation there has deteriorated greatly. The correction officers have pretty much, for what it seems like, have lost control of the facilities and have just kind of deferred to the gangs to kind of run them.
Last year, an average of 1,500 of the city COs called out sick every day.
The sick leave abuse has been going on for many, many years. So this is not a new thing. The problem is that it was so exacerbated by the pandemic.
Serena Townsend had been head of investigations for the Department of Corrections since 2018. She was looking into CO misconduct at Rikers, including abuse of the sick leave policy. When the new mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, took office last month, He appeared to agree with the CO union's claim that they were being over-disciplined by Townsend. He fired her on his third day in office. Were you surprised when you found out that you had been let go?
You know, the truth is I was, despite the fact that I knew that my interests with the commissioner and the unions were not aligned.
Can you describe some more cases or give some more examples of officer misconduct?
So even before the pandemic, we would see hyper-confrontational behavior. We still saw cases, many cases, where the officer was the aggressor, and that's problematic. There were issues with false reporting. Officers who maybe didn't use that force but witnessed the force oftentimes would not report accurately. And it ran the gamut from, simply misleading all the way to false. It's not just about, oh, I want to discipline people. There's a reason accountability exists. And if you don't hold officers accountable, then they feel that they can act with impunity.
Correction officers feel like we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't, right? When we act on a violent inmate and we use force, we're disciplined, we're suspended for 30 days. We're not perfect, but how can we be perfect? They expect us to be perfect in the environment that they put us in.
Benny Basio spent over 2 decades as a CO before becoming head of the union in 2020. He says maintaining order at Rikers during the pandemic has been nearly impossible. There have been over 2,000 confirmed cases of COVID among Department of Corrections staff, according to the DOC. And the Federal Monitor report said there were over 2,000 assaults on DOC staff over a 9-month period in 2021.
The last 2 years have probably been the worst 2 years in my 23-year history as a correction officer. Violence has skyrocketed. My officers are getting assaulted with impunity.
The narrative pretty much has been that things have been so bad during the pandemic because of the lack of staff and the inmates aren't getting the care that they need. Do you think that that's fair?
I don't think it's a fair depiction of us. We want inmates to get their minimum standards. We absolutely want them to get everything that they're entitled to get. And it's been hard to do that with the lack of staffing. Not to mention that we're working 24-hour shifts, double shifts just about every day, and in some cases, 24-hour shifts.
Or why do you think that people are accusing correctional officers of abusing their sick time?
We're not abusing sick leave. People are dealing with long-term effects of COVID, recovering from major assaults, but we feel that having quote-unquote sick leave policy where we get paid when we're out sick is necessary because of the dangerous function that we do. We just want protections. We want to go home to our families the same way that we went to work. We just want to be safe. And nonviolent inmates deserve to be safe. That's what we're really looking for.
Mayor Adams intends to keep his predecessor's plan to close Rikers Island by 2027. In the meantime, incarcerated people like Jimenez are trying to survive. What do you think the solution is? Do you think it's going to get any better?
Nah, it got to get worse before it get better. And that's what we're going through right now. Unfortunately, we pretty much don't have the chance to even prove our innocence. We treated, how is it that you're being treated like you're guilty before you even found, you know what I'm saying? Guilty of anything. This is a trap. This is a trap.